Hey guys, Kalltorak here. Today I want to talk about the patch notes we got yesterday for the initial patch 0.3, the third Edict reveal. I'll be going over everything Thorns related and talking about some of my other Reflect builds too. At the start of 0.1 and 0.2, I did an everything Thorns in this patch video. This is not that video. That will not be coming until a day or two after the league has launched. There's just no way of knowing all things Thorns until we can actually play the patch. I am going to be doing my best to give you my general thoughts though, and at the end of the video I'll be giving you my top 3 Ascendancy choices right now for Thorns. There are so many notes though, and I'm sure my brain glazed over some good changes. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I missed some important things. If you are new here, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be making so many build guides in patch 0.3, and not just for Reflect builds. Okay, so there are more notes coming. There should be more patch notes coming a day or two before launch, so don't doom quite yet. It wouldn't really make sense for GGG to fill this announcement patch notes with the thousands of Thorns buffs that are coming. So, just wait a little bit, we will have new patch notes soon, and then we'll figure out if we're actually league starting Thorns or a different Reflect build or whatever. Before we dive super deep into Thorn stuff, Wind Dancer. As far as I can tell, Wind Dancer is unchanged. It could potentially be the best league start for Reflect builds. The biggest downside is the nerf to Giant's Blood. Giant's Blood now halves the life granted from strength, so this is definitely a significant nerf. All my Wind Dancer builds were using it when it came to tier 4 pinnacle content. There are also significant changes to shields, which a lot of the time I was using a shield with my Wind Dancer builds. We'll have to see what happens here, but as of right now, it's still looking okay. Before we dive into the targeted changes at the playstyle, swapping weapons is now instant and we have a new sprint mechanic. These are both inherent buffs to the playstyle. Instant weapon swap will allow us to much easier use Rake and Rapid Assault as our main killing techniques, while instantly being able to use Armor Breaker with a mace in our offset. There is also plenty of room for Scepter play with Thorns in our off setup. Sprint is self-explanatory, but we might not be punished by the downside as hard as other playstyles. When you are sprinting, if you get hit, you will be stunned to the ground. This is a death sentence for most builds, but probably not for Thorns. Thorns mixed with Leech should kill everyone attacking you, and you'll live through it because of Leech. So yeah, sprinting is probably goated for Thorns. So we finally got asynchronized trade. This is going to be huge for a lot of you who won't be playing Thorns right at the start of the league. Thorns is oftentimes seen as a dead stat still. A lot of times people will put really good Thorns gear listed for insanely cheap. Sometimes starter Thorns gear will be listed for a Regal Orb. Not having to deal with the RNG of if the seller will actually invite you is a big dub. I know trade just seems like a net positive for the entire game, but for Thorns is a very, very gear dependent playstyle. You need Thorns damage rolls on your shield, belt, and chest. You need at minimum the unique helmet for Thorns, Crown of the Pale King, and you are probably going to be using one of the Thorns unique boots. Then there are the Thorns runes you put into your gear. Most of you won't be league starting Thorns, but by the time you're ready to try it, you should have plenty of currency for getting this gear. Async trade is going to make that process so amazing. Also, uncut skill, support, and reservation gems can be traded through the currency exchange now. Upgrading Scavenged Plating throughout the leveling process is huge for our damage, so this is another big win. The support gem system got a massive overhaul. You can now put multiple support gems socketed across different skills, and this is huge for Thorns. Example being Quill Burst in Barbs inside Rake and Rapid Assault. You would often have to have those supports in Rake for mapping, but would be forced to stop at bosses to swap them into Rapid Assault. You no longer need to do this. This is a massive quality of life win for Thorns. They are also adding additional tiers of support gems. This is the biggest question mark I have right now. The biggest barrier to entry for league starting Thorns is the support gems. Barbs and Quill Burst being tier 3 support gems means you can't start playing Thorns until Act 4. I am not sure what additional tiers of Barbs and Quill Burst would look like. Crackling Barrier could get some cool buffs with additional tiers though. Hopefully, this new tiering system comes with some early game Thorns support gems. Otherwise, league starting Thorns will still be rough. 40 lineage supports. These are uber endgame support gems. If there's 40 of them, I'm sure one of these could be Thorns related, but I doubt it. I'm sure there will be one that directly helps our playstyle though, at least defensively. There are 11 new support gems coming. Probably none that are Thorns related, but who knows. A big change here is the tribute requirements for gear and skills being lowered. This is again huge for Thorns. Scavenged Plating was required, and it forced you to have 205 strength at max level. We have the mana stacking cracking barrier styles that just couldn't function because of the insane strength and int requirements for that playstyle. Speaking of gear, Armour got some serious love. There's now a bunch of Armour applies to elemental damage taken modifiers on gear, as well as on the passive tree. While I'm not sure if purely Armour stacking will be viable in deep endgame, I am very confident that Armour and Energy Shield hybrid will be one of the best defensive playstyles in the game now. This is huge for Thorns. One change though, you can no longer socket multiple copies of the same skill gem into your main skill sockets. This was huge for Caltrops builds. This doesn't really impact any of my other styles, but rest in peace Caltrops. Okay, let's dive into major character balance overhauls. In 0.3.0, they are making very significant changes to character balance across the entire game. A lot of skills have been buffed or reworked. It's really hard to know what will be the meta for Thorns right now. Rake and Rapid Assault is still probably one of the best top contenders for Thorns. One of the biggest changes was the addition of Unarmed Fighting Styles Keystone. There have been a lot of changes to the Unarmed playstyle. We do not know how this will scale with Thorns yet. One of my previous styles has been nerfed though. Palm skills can no longer be used without quarterstaffs equipped by default. That means Killing Palm, Staggering Palm, Shattering Palm, Hand of Cholula, and Frozen Locust. So my Shattering Palm Titan no longer works, but a monk version of this build still might work. This would not be League Start friendly though, so avoid playing that for launch. Another massive change has been to block. Player, minion, and monster base maximum block chance is now 50%, it was previously 75%. So this is one of the biggest variables for the patch. I've talked about it on the podcast, but block is arguably one of the best defensive and offensive measures in patch 0.2. There were just so many ways of reaching max block cap, pushing your block cap beyond the cap, and then scaling your damage based off of that block. I am not shocked to see block getting an overhaul. What's huge here though is blocking is no longer limited to strikes and projectiles by default. All hits that are not specifically unblockable, those are the ones with the red flash, can be blocked. So basically everyone has Warbringer's Turtle Charm now. There are a lot of changes around shields and block values. We don't know how hard it will be to reach the 50% block cap, but I assume it will still be fairly hard. This will make Titan an even better option for Thorns. But let's go on to more Ascendancy talk. Warbringer clearly got reworked since Turtle Charm is baseline for all shields. Instead, it now provides you take 30% of damage from blocked hits, and maximum block chance is 75%. Getting the 75% block chance might be pretty damn huge for Thorns late game, even with the drawback of the damage taken. Warbringer's armor breaking remains unchanged as well, which makes Thorns pretty blatant off the play. I believe I also saw a passive note on the live stream that said fire damage benefits from armor break, which would be a big win for Avatar of Fire Warbringer Thorns. Stacks of Jade granted by the Jade Heritage notable passive skill are no longer lost when taking physical damage from a hit, which seems like a must-have change. I think Warbringer overall will still be a solid ascendancy for Thorns, we'll see though. Smith changes are interesting, I assume a nerf. Its best belt was removed from the game and the maximum elemental res scaling got nerfed. It was very easy to reach 90 all res on a Smith. We'll have to see how Smith feels for Wind Dancer, but without the core ascendancy getting Thorns damage added to it, I don't think it's likely I'll play Smith for Thorns. I want to quickly mention Gemling. With Gemling getting +2 gem skill levels for red gems, aka Scavenged Plating, and the new gem studded notable for red, hits against you have no critical damage bonus. Gemling might be a sleeper option for Thorns and Reflect builds. Ritualist was already one of my favorite Thorns ascendancies and it got a slight buff. Tactician is the one I'm unsure on right now. I have no idea what the state of banner builds will be. I assume this won't be a top 3 pick for Thorns though. Chalupa got some buffs. I did have a Chalupa Thorns monk in the last patch and it was okay. I'm not super hyped to revisit it still. As long as we need Scavenged Plating, we can't use Darkness. The rest of the ascendancy doesn't seem great for Thorns. Our chaos damage applying to Leech doesn't matter for Thorns since we already have Thorns damage leeching. No other ascendancy changes seemed significant to Thorns for me. If you think I missed something though, or I'm sleeping on something, please let me know. So here's where I am most curious right now. Scavenged Plating actually got nerfed, and I'm honestly kind of not surprised. The Thorns was changed to 6 to 8 Thorns per Scavenged Plating at gem level 4, previously 8 to 12, scaling up to 43 to 64 at level 20, previously 60 to 90. The quality now also provides Scavenged Plating duration plus 2 seconds. This is just straight up a nerf. We are getting a lot less armor, the quality change to the duration is whatever, and we have lost a significant amount of Thorns damage from Scavenged Plating. Like I said, I'm not really shocked this got nerfed. When you had a max gem Scavenged Plating, your gear didn't really matter as much for Thorns damage. It was seriously a majority of our Thorns damage. My hope is that if they saw this, they realized we needed Thorns damage from other sources, nerf Scavenged Plating, and we have more ways to get Thorns damage from gear, runes, or the passive tree. If there are no significant ways for us to make up for this loss in damage for Thorns, this is really bad news for Thorns mains. We are losing a lot of damage for pinnacle content. Don't doom yet, but this is something to keep our eyes on. For the passive tree, they added 15 new clusters for Warrior, they added 23 new clusters for Mercenary, and they added 17 new clusters for Rangers and Huntress. Many existing clusters have also received updates. How many of these are likely to buff Thorns? Probably not many, but I assume there are going to be some passive tree tweaks. This is honestly the easiest place GGG could have made adjustment for Thorns. Half the Thorns passes are pretty bad, and there aren't many, so I have some serious hopium here. Even if there's no direct buffs to Thorns, there will be plenty of things added that help us defensively or offensively, I'm sure. Fire damage, elemental damage, and ignite got serious changes. Avatar of Fire Thorns could be a thing, especially on Warbringer. Beers has been reworked. It'll never function like it did in the glory days, so rest in peace. Not much viability with Thorns here, I think. We got a new Stag Talisman, grants 50% increased Thorns critical strike chance on helmets. This is alright, but the main thing this tells me is that Thorns is still on the devs' minds. That's one of the main reasons I'm still holding out hopium here, is that we're actually getting something. There's one line here that says they incrementally improved monster behavior. You never know what this means, but it could help Thorns in a lot of ways. There are a lot of dumb interactions that can get fixed, so cool. Fingers crossed. Magma Barrier, it now passively increases your block chance while active. It also works differently, and over time it charges up with lava. When it's fully charged, your next block with your shield will raise, will spray lava forward. I'm not sure how powerful this will be in terms of Thorns. It now grants you 25% increased block chance. So for trying to get to block cap, I just assume you're going to want to mix Magma Barrier into your build. So I just assume most of our second spirit slots will be taken up with Magma Barrier now. How much this helps Thorns directly, I don't know, but the block chance is probably going to be required to use. What's really cool here is they added a new strength persistive buff gem, Iron Ward. While active, now stores a percentage of the physical damage that is prevented by your armor or other sources of damage reduction. Using this skill releases that store damage as a Nova of Spike. So it's kind of like, it's not necessarily Thorns Reflect, but it is like you want to intentionally take damage and then you will eventually deal damage back through that, like, absorb. It's kind of like fat gum. You know, you get punched a bunch and then you eventually just sling back at them. Who knows? I'm pretty hyped to try it out. I don't know if I'll be trying it out in my first playthrough, but we'll see. Adding over 10 new unique items. I doubt we're getting a new Thorns unique, but who knows? Crafting got some pretty serious overhauls. I am not sure how much this will help Thorns. I don't know the likelihood of any of the new essences or any of the new crafting materials directly helping with Thorns. We'll see. There were 7 new essences added. It can't be bad, right? So... but this is all the major changes I have seen for Thorns. I'm curious if you guys think I have missed anything super important. I did glaze over some of the, like, skill changes that could obviously buff Thorns, like vulnerability had its armor removal buffed. So things like that obviously buff Thorns, but I want to talk about all of the major things. I did say at the end of the video, I want to talk about my top 3 Ascendancies right now for Thorns. I am still currently planning on League starting Thorns. If I don't League start Thorns, maybe Wind Dancer. We'll see. But right now the plan is still to attempt a League start at Thorns. My 3rd best Ascendancy right now, I am going with Warbringer. There's just too many question marks I have about the Ascendancy. I feel like on paper, it's still going to be potentially the best one. The 75% block cap, as well as the easy access armor break, seems huge to me. Now with the being able to stack multiple support gems, being able to put Splinter into multiple support gems or skill gems actually helps a lot with the problems with Thorns. We'll be able to armor break a lot more consistently. But there's also the other thing with how fire damage can now benefit from armor break. So there's a lot of question marks, as well as with the Jade heritage changes. Warbringer could still potentially be the best. I might be sleeping on them by putting it at number 3, but yeah, Warbringer is still a really solid pick. I know everyone's dooming on the Warrior changes and stuff right now. I'm not. I'm still a heavy Warrior main. I still think it's going to be pretty fine. Number 2, I am going with Ritualist. This one was almost number 1. It just really depends on how the warrior side of the tree works. Unfortunately, Ritualist starts just a little bit to the right of the good armor and thorns stuff. It's not too far out of the way, but in terms of league start, you're just a little bit behind the warrior. If it was the mercenary starting area, it would be a little bit easier to pull off, but the Ritualist just has such a long trek to get to all the good thorn stuff that makes it a little bit harder to league start. But Ritualist was arguably the best Thorns Ascendancy just as a well-rounder last patch. A lot of the problem with Thorns is how unique heavy it is, and the 3rd ring slot is huge, and having the additional buff to your jewelry, your 3 rings, and then your amulet is massive defensively and for your stats as Thorns. Now, stacking isn't going to be near as important in this patch, so it's possible that the 3rd ring slot for the extra stats isn't as needed, but I still think with the slight buffs that Ritualist got, it is one of the better ascendancies for Thorns. And lastly, no shocker here, I think for 3 patches now, I have said that Titan is my number 1 Ascendancy pick. I've always thought it was the best. I thought Hulking Form has always been cracked, and I feel like other aspects of the Ascendancy are just really good. When you take into account that Warrior is the best starting area for Thorns, it's so hard to not want to start Warrior, and Titan, when you have all the Thorns passive nodes and all of those other things getting buffed by Hulking Form, you have the increased max life. It's so hard to stack life right now still. Titan is just perfect for Thorns. There's just so many ways to adjust the play style, and Titan can be changed into many different builds. So if Thorns doesn't play out, Titan can be Wind Dancer, it can be minion builds, it can be a lot of things. But for just strictly speaking Thorns, when you talk about the nerf to the block and like how difficult it will be to reach the 50% block cap with all the changes, having the Titan Hulking Form increase your block chance also helps a lot there as well. In general, I still think Titan is, and it got no nerfs. It got no nerfs, so I still think it's one of the best Ascendancies, if not the best Ascendancy in the game. But of course, I am a Thorns Titan boy, so. But yeah, that's my top 3 Thorns Ascendancies. Unless the final patch notes just have something that's like game-breaking for Thorns, even if it doesn't look like it's going to be the cleanest league start, I'm probably league starting Thorns just to do it. So, yeah. Will it be Titan? Probably. We'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. I am curious what more information we'll get. But man, I am excited for this patch. What about you guys? If you've been enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. Apologies to Darth microtransaction. We once again ran out of time. Take care, boys. See you in the next one.